So one of the things that we can do to save space on our file servers, or just servers in general, they don't even have to be file servers, is the idea of data deduplication, which is a hilarious word to say quickly. The idea behind data deduplication is that we will frequently have multiple files on our system that are very similar. Now, this could be a file that gets opened and modified, and so temporary copies of it are saved. And we might have multiple temporary copies of the files where the bulk of the data in all of them is the same, it's just little changes. But we're saving all of that data all the time. Another example might be something like using virtual hard disks for VMs, right? If we have 10 Windows 10 VMs or Windows 11 VMs, there's a good chance that 95% of each virtual hard drive is going to be the same as all the others. But we're storing all of that data. So what data deduplication does is it goes through and looks for the same data being saved in more than one file. And then what it does is it gets rid of that redundant data. Now, this is a mixed blessing. It saves us a ton of space, right? Let's say we have 10 VHDs for VMs and 95% of the data is the same because, it's the operating system, the program files that all of them share. Okay, then we can save a ton of storage space. On the downside, if that one instance of storage gets corrupted, Houston, now we have a problem. And same thing with our files. So if you're doing this, make sure that you have some good redundancies in place, right? But it can save us a ton of space. So it's an optional feature for our servers. Let me show you how we do it. So we're going to start by installing data deduplication. So I'm going to go in Server Manager. I'm going to go to Manage, Add Roles and Features. Installation types, role or feature based. We're going to select our server. We're going to expand File and Storage Services. And under here, under File and iSCSI Services, is where we have data deduplication. So I'm going to go ahead and click on data deduplication and then click next. And that's all I need. So I'm going to skip through the rest of it and we're going to go ahead and install. Now, this is going to enable data deduplication for us or install the tool for data deduplication. Now, this will take a minute. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this video and we're going to pick it up when we're done. Okay, so our data deduplication installation is complete. I'm going to go ahead and click close. And this is going to be a little bit different. So if I go to tools and I look for data deduplication or anything related to that, I don't have that here. It's because it's not there. It's actually here in our file and storage services. So I'm going to go to my volumes. I'm going to pick the volume that I want to enable deduplication on. And I'm going to pick my E drive. So I am going to right click on my E drive. And right here, I can configure data deduplication. Now I'm going to do this on a per volume basis, right? So I can set it up differently on each of my different volumes if I want. But this is where I'm going to store a bunch of company files, so this is where I want to do it. Okay, data deduplication by default is disabled. I can choose how I want it to work, so I can do it for a general purpose file server, a virtual desktop infrastructure server, or a virtualized backup server. That's another place where deduplication can become a big space saver is on backups. So I'm going to do a general purpose file server. And that configures my settings for it. So let's take a look at a couple of these. Number one, I can deduplicate files older than 3 days. So if it's a brand new file, we're not going to worry about it. 3 days after it's been, now we're going to worry about it. We're going to deduplicate it if necessary. And then I can set that to whatever I want. So any file extensions that we might not want to deduplicate. So anything you put in here separated by commas, those file extensions will be ignored. We'll go ahead and leave those. We won't deduplicate them. We'll do redundant storage there. And then here we can select any folders and any files contained in them from deduplication. So we click add and just add our folders. I want you to deduplicate everything except PowerShell scripts and these two particular folders. That's where you would set that. Now, the way this is going to work is we're going to run a deduplication task which is going to look for redundant data and then remove that redundant data, but make sure that all the files that had access to it still do. So depending on how much work we're doing, this might be a little bit of a disk-intensive process, which means it can sometimes slow things down for our users who are accessing the system. So that's where we set our deduplication schedule. So I can enable throughput optimization, enable background optimization, create a second schedule for throughput optimization, and then I can specify what day of the week, what time do I want, and how long do I want it to run. So by default, we're going to enable background optimization. So low priority. If somebody's doing something, that takes priority over this. Notice this pause data deduplication when the system is busy, so that we don't impact system performance that much. And then if I want to set enable throughput optimization, so during the specific hours, deduplication runs as normal priority. So I want to, during these hours, the rest of the time, background. During these hours, I want it to run normal priority, which means if a user is on the system, I don't want you to pause. I want you to keep working, even if it slows them down. And this is where we set the schedule for that. And then second one if we want. Notice it gives me that time, 1:45 a.m., run it for 6 hours. At the end of that time, then it goes back to background optimization. And I can do 2 different schedules here. Okay, when I'm happy with my schedules, I'm going to click apply and okay. Remember, this is on a per volume basis. So I'm going to apply and okay, and my deduplication is set up. So that's going to help me save space on my company file servers or company files, which is my thin provisioned e-volume. Okay, there we go. Data deduplication, installation, and configuration.